And welcome everyone to the November 10th iteration of the MicroProfile Live Hangout, I should say 2020. A link to the meeting minutes is in the notes. Please click on the link and add your name to the list of people that have attended the meeting and are participating. This is a reminder that this video will be uploaded to YouTube along with the chat contents. Okay, so it's all going to be public. And with that, I think I will share the screen. Oops, not share the document, share the screen. I'll share. Sorry, all of a sudden I'm looking for the share button. Here it is. It's the big green one. All right.
You've never done this before, have you?
First time, man. What can I say? Well, the problem is, yeah, I reorganized things a little bit. Now everything's showing up on different windows. And of course, as soon as I share it.
Just blame it on the cold. It's really cold to us. It's like 11, 15 Celsius. I mean, we're freezing here. And quote unquote, to those people that are in winter, joke is on us.
Yeah, we're in Southern California. We're not used to this. Okay. So that's a little bit too big. I apologize here. So hopefully everyone can see it. I'm gonna make it a little bit bigger.
The screen was looking okay, and now we're only seeing about a third of it.
Yeah, like you got an iPhone thing going on or something.
Oh, it says your screen is paused, and I have no idea why. I'll resume share. Let's try that.
There you go.
All right, I have no idea why. Maybe it's because I moved it to a different monitor. Okay, so sorry about that. And also, I've been having a little bit of throughput problems today. So I may have to shut off video, and if things really go screwy, Kevin, if you can kind of resume, but things do look to be back to normal. Okay. So working group discussion. We basically have three topics for today. First is the working group meeting minutes. The second is going over where we are at with the checklist. And the last is probably going to be, if we get to it, marketing release or platform spec release, but I don't know if we'll get there. And same with marketing, just probably some marketing updates. All right, so maybe the working meeting, let's see, I'll ask a question maybe to Sharon. We got 4 out of 5 members to approve the meeting minutes per the mailing list. It does not have to be unanimous, correct?
Correct.
It's
You're good to go.
Or 1/2.
It's simple.
It's simple majority, okay.
Yep.
All right, so the meetings are approved. What I'll do is I will send out, since I'm the moderator, I guess, I'll just print out not print out, but save it as a PDF and send out to the MicroProfile.
Can you make sure to you save it in a PDF, but make sure to send the minutes in text to the list, because PDFs over like the course of 2 years, they're not searchable.
Okay.
So it's a real tricky. You got to remember exactly when you talked about something and like get within a range, and it's kind of a pain.
Well, the plan is to add the PDFs to the new page that we're working on, but copying and pasting the minutes, the final approved minutes to the email is most important alongside the PDF. Both.
Yeah, we'll have to see how that formats, because it's got tables and stuff, something I hadn't thought about ahead of time.
Doesn't matter if it looks good or not, just copy paste, move on.
Okay. All right, so let me do this, sorry. All right. Okay, so we are good. The checklist discussion. So I just added it on behalf of everyone that's doing the real work, kind of listed here. So I guess who would like to lead this aspect of the discussion? From the list of highlighted names, probably. Okay, so that's Roberto. Do you want me to pull up the link? Is there anything you want me to show?
Yeah, I mean, you can pull up the PR link.
Well, let's pull up the issue, because that's the one that's giving us, how we're trying to organize the data. The PR requests are still a work in progress, and we decided to move to the actual issue to finalize what the template would look like.
Does someone have? Oh, this one right here.
Yep, you got it.
I was going to say the same. Let's go through the issue to see whether we have everything listed, and then yeah, we can use this as template.
Okie dokie. All right, Roberto, take it away.
Well, trying to figure out. Oh, okay, yeah. I was not able to see like the check marks on the. They're like white, so it looked like they were not selected. Okay, so this is a dry run for the MicroProfile release. Of course, we're doing this for an RC, but the idea here is kind of like we were doing like a final release for voting. Of course, we didn't want to change the version as a final. But anyway, we try to pick up the content of the pull request and put it as in this GitHub issue, and trying to fill in the relevant pieces that were stated on the template, and completed with what we were able to gather from the release. So of course, specification name and version, that's really easy to get. Then the label, that's basically in the label to the issue, which we added like with the release review on the right of the issue. And then the naming convention, so we make some slight changes and also a couple of other changes to be able to push the PDF spec and the HTML spec to Maven Central. So basically in Nexus staging, in that particular case, you have a link. Actually, there is a, so if you go to that staging repo link over there, yes, try to open that up. You'll get to the staging repo for that particular version. So if you navigate around that, so for instance, go to the spec. I'm not sure if that link is updated with the 9 or 10. Oh, it's still
Yeah,
on 10. Wonderful.
10.
So if you go to the version on RC10. So for instance, now you'll get the HTML and the PDF. So if you click on one of those are the spec documents for that particular version that were added to the staging repo. And so if you, can you move to the issue again? Thank you. So now, so basically what you have over there, of course, the link to the staging repo, the link to the spec PDF, the link to the spec HTML, the link for the Java doc, the link to the API jar, and the link for the TCK jar. All of these binaries or documents are all contained in the staging repo in Maven Central. As part of the release that's being done by Jenkins, if you remember, we had that discussion last week. A downloads area is being also pushed to the Eclipse website. We discussed about adding it or removing or adding it later. Well, since everything is going to the staging repo, I don't think there is too much of a big deal to still keep it as is. The link currently is available, but not public in the sense that it's not linked from anywhere. Usually this link is added on the GitHub release page once the release is done. So only someone that has access to the well, access in the sense that they know the direct link, they can go over there. But if they come over here, it's nothing, none of a big deal. It's just a copy of the Java docs, the HTML, and the PDF. So I don't think there is a big deal to keep them and over there.
Can you answer a question real quick?
Yeah.
Are you referring to putting these up after the vote completes is not a big deal, or having them up public even though the vote hasn't even started or completed is no big deal?
The second one. So having them, because the staging repo is also public, right? And you only get into this page if you know the direct link, because this page is not linked from anywhere until we actually make it link it from anywhere, right?
Can you click the double periods right there? Just navigate to the parent. Is it
So
listed on this page?
Yeah, so basically it's
So that's public, right?
Yep.
so basically every Jenkins build will produce output to this website. So yeah, so that's why it's Roberto and I discussed is that's kind of same as before. And for voting, we just use the staging repo. So maybe we don't, in the voting, we don't even need to mention this.
Well, it's
It
not
is
like-
public. It is public, but you still have to go to the direct link to get there.
No, you don't. You can navigate it from the parent. If you're monitoring MicroProfile / looking for things that are added, you will see it, right? And we can't control if someone downloaded it and what impressions they have in their head about that content. They would write with, if they go to that directly and download it, they would logically think that is the final thing if they look at nothing else.
The thing is, if this only contain the documentation, they download it, they will only see the documentation. There's no API jar, so they cannot use use anything for their building their application. So the other thing is, the once is kind of, if the vote doesn't go through, and we have to kind of maybe have to delete the tag, and then it's kind of redo the build. So this is kind of will be written all over.
Also, if you notice, you'll see that these Eclipse downloads web page clearly says this page is not designed to be web accessible, blah, blah, blah. I mean, we can remove it, it's fine. It was just like an extra step that we have to make on the build script. And the build script is not really easy to test. So we actually refrained to do that change because we wanted to make other things quicker. But if this is making so much of an issue, we can change it. That's
I
fine.
personally don't think it's where we want to be cutting corners.
So I guess the question though, isn't this, I mean, this is the directory that actually is pointed at by our GitHub releases, right?
Yes.
Yes, but that's done manually, right? So you on the
Oh, it
GitHub
is?
releases, yes.
Okay, I thought that
Um,
was part of that build process as well.
No, so usually what you do is you do the release, it published to Nexus staging area, it copies the docs over here. Then if everything is okay, you have to go to Nexus Central, log in on the Nexus repository, do the actual release of the staging repo for the binaries to become available on Nexus Central. And then you have to go to GitHub and create a release manually on your own and put whatever link you want over there. We usually link to that page. So those two pieces, the release on Central and the publish on the GitHub release, those are manual operations.
Got
So
it.
that's what I was saying, that this page is not really linked from anywhere until you actually put it on GitHub.
So you know what I like, Roberto and Emily, that you are being super transparent on the work done and coming and showing us stuff that we can remove and ask questions. I think this is very cool.
So I have a quick question. One of the things that this lets us do, this is always something I've been wondering, is where do we have a web browsable Java docs?
So this is exactly the place is for the web browsable, I mean specs, HTML and PDF and also API docs. So this is very valuable kind of site to make sure the specifications are consumable. So I think because this is a purely documentation, if like the release doesn't go through, and then we could delete the tag and etc. and then have this redone. So I don't feel because the no user can build kind of their microservices against any APIs because the API is not here. So there's no artifactory, no artifacts here. No teaching.
Well, the spec, right? So if that's not a final spec and we're putting it up in the publicly accessible download area as final, then we have no way to control miscommunication even amongst ourselves.
Right.
Hey Joe, didn't you notice that we actually re-rolled that? You've been looking at the wrong spec for the last 6 months.
Why bother? Just remove.
Well, but I just have to qualify that because that, you know, what John is pointing out is having a location where we can easily get access to the API docs is still worthwhile.
So
Because we
the-
don't have that.
We're going to use
Do you
Git.
mean during the vote?
No, I mean, even after the vote.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean,
What
just-
I'm saying
yeah,
is
end users,
afterwards
yeah.
we could just publish this, right?
So
right-
what David asking for is during this vote period, so we hold off publish PDF, HTML, API docs onto this website, and then when we click on when the vote passed, when we click on the release button on the Sonatype staging repo, and then that trigger this doc populated.
Yeah, that needs to be like another Jenkins job. You cannot do it from Nexus because that's a different system.
Yeah. The
Yeah,
existing job
exactly.
that publishes it would just need to get updated,
Yeah, so basically,
separated out into a separate Jenkins job.
yeah, so could be like it's not automatically you click on that button and then later on you do another Jenkins release and to have this doc populated.
The Jenkins job probably could, I mean, you know, the existing job will push content up into this download area. We just need to take that part of the script and move it into a separate job. And yes, that would leave you with going to the Nexus interface, clicking the release button, and then going over to the Jenkins job and doing the publish. So it pushes the downloads stuff in there. It could be collapsed down to one job if you wanted to, because
No,
can't connect it.
it's gonna need
oh,
to be
I wasn't
like.
done talking yet. Wasn't finished.
I'm sorry.
You could actually automate both of those things if you wanted to. So it could be one Jenkins job because you do have the ability to do that button click of the release from, you know, Maven plugins, which is how it's done on the Jakarta side. So it all could be part of one automated thing, but either way, you know,
Right.
either we publish this thing after the release, or if we want something we can evaluate during the release, that's not the staging directory, we would make another staging directory here, but I don't know that it would do that, but that would be more to clean up, but go ahead,
Right.
Roberto.
No, I was just going to say that the Jenkins job needs to be slightly different because if you put this portion in a separate step, right, you're gonna lose the context of the first one. So you cannot use the workspace to copy the documents, and you actually have to change and go directly to Nexus to download the binaries to push them here, or even
We
make.
do that for Jakarta, right? So it's not impossible.
No, I'm not saying that's impossible. I'm just saying that's not a matter of just copy and pasting. It's gonna have to be something
Oh,
different.
okay, yeah, sure. So the script that's there right now, yeah, I get it.
Yeah, you're gonna have to update it to use the staging ID.
Yeah.
Right. So maybe we can copy and paste what the Jakarta, the Jenkins job, script and etc., and then try it out.
Iterate, because we can even
So-
clean it a little bit more.
Right. So David, can you like comment there and then point us to the where the Jakarta EE, the script and etc. could.
Yeah, here, well, let me load it up. I will do a share screen and walk us through it briefly, just so we have the idea of the parts that are in it. But let me grab it here.
John needs to start. Oh, I will take, for everyone that was still not in the photo, I will take another one. Smiley faces, everyone. Done. Go ahead.
Right.
We're so social today. Middle of November.
All right.
You guys have a lot to celebrate. I'm going to go into
Let, I'll be doing this live in front of everybody, so mind my clunkiness. But here we go. Let me share. So we keep the published script in this repository. So there's Jakarta specification dash tools. There's the promotion directory, and these are basically wired up to individual Jenkins jobs. So if we go to CI eclipse.org and specification committee, we have identical jobs for each one of these. Now you know my password, it's all dots. Okay. So if we go to configure, there isn't much in this job other than, well here, I'll not do configure first. Let's just pretend that we're gonna build it. So what we have to do is we got to specify the name of the spec, the version of the spec, and then the URL of any files that we want to publish into this directory. So basically what's going to do is going to do a make dir on both of these things, with this being the parent directory, that being the child directory. And then it literally just copies in all these files, and it signs them with the public private key that's assigned to the working group. So we have a public private key pair for the whole working group that basically is set up in the Jenkins instance. And Eclipse Foundation can rotate that for us. And so, you know, these are the input. When we click build, now I'll go to configure. It pretty much just runs this script here. It checks out this repository where the script is, and then it just does this, right? Go into the workspace, promotion directory, and execute promotion release. So that's the naming convention we've been following, which is basically the script is named exactly after the Jenkins job. So if we go ahead.
Can I interrupt you for a minute?
Yep.
So will you like release the release that stage? This is just a one zip file you copy it across.
You can put many in there. They're just going to be separated by a new line. So,
but in this particular case, we know for a fact the ones that we want to publish, so we don't really have to link them. We just need to provide their paths on Maven Central, which usually is just the group ID, the artifact, and the version. And then we'll just download the TCK, the jar, the API jar.
Yeah, we could probably
PDF, and that's it.
If we want to go simple, so we have probably two things we can do. If we want to just kind of use this script in more copy paste fashion, then we would put the individual URL of the spec HTML, the spec PDF, the one at a time. We would put them there. It would be a pain in the butt, but it would get us running. In the future, we could actually just put the staging repo thing in there, and then we could go recursively look in it for the things that we want to publish.
Right.
That would require some intelligence, not there currently, but it's something that's possible.
Okay, so promote for this promote release, I think is the only three things that I'm interested to copy across. One is the spec PDF, spec HTML, and Java doc. So it's because you use that for particular purpose. I think is not interested to copy all the other jars and etc. They are perfectly fine to be in the Maven Central.
Yeah, we might as well copy the TCK over there as well if we're going to do that, just so we have it signed, like digitally signed by the working group.
But TCK is in the Maven Central anyway. So
Yep.
for the reason to copy to the download the eclipse.org is because it can be browsable. For
The reason to do the copy is because in this process, we're actually digitally signing with a key associated with the working group. So there's sort of like a non-refutable public stamp. That's the official copy, or that's the official hash, right? And it doesn't matter if you get the binary anywhere else, you would at least have a calculated a kind of like an official SHA. Now, there is already a SHA associated with things that are published in Maven Central, but that's the key of the developer, not necessarily the key of the working group.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Well, no, the key user is a key from an Eclipse account. That's the one that's associated with Jenkins. So it's not associated with
Okay.
any individual developer. So if you
That's
want
right.
to make a MicroProfile working group SHA, then you can just change the key on Jenkins.
yeah. Anyway, the key is not given to the specification projects that do not have access to the key as you were describing, Roberto. So they do not have the ability to officially sign a binary as approved by the specification committee because they are not the specification committee.
Right. I have another question for here. So you have a Jakarta E8 EFT1 and /promoted. So with this file URL, if the directory doesn't exist, this script will automatically create that, right?
Yeah.
Or not?
So let's go ahead and look at the actual source. So
Well, I mean, just to clarify that, Emily, so that input file reference there, that file has to exist with those directories. And then what David's script is doing is creating the required directories in the promoted area and then transferring just that file into the new area.
Yeah.
Right.
Presumably the file exists, the source is file you directly from the Sonatype staging repo, right? Where do you copy
No.
from?
it could be from any URL. So these just happen to be, it could be from any URL because it just does like a curl, right?
Oh, okay. So I might be mistaken here. File URLs. Is this the source or destination?
That's the source.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
So we could feed this one with Sonatype.
URLs, correct.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, you would have to be specific, and this is the Sonatype URLs would have to go down to the actual file path, right? The way the script is written now. In the future, it could be something like, we just point at the staging directory and you don't have to fish out the individual URLs. We could just make the script find them. But
okay.
That would be later. At the first stage, it's just you give the URLs that you want. What's going to happen when you do this is that it would make a Wombat 2.0 directory, find this, try to do a curl on this thing, and then if it can, it will sign it and publish it to here. Right, so here's where everything ends up.
Oh, I see.
So here's the latest released messaging, right? And so wherever the project team staged their TCK and that's up to them. They give us that URL and then we go and load it into this Jenkins job with the spec name and version. We click the build button, then it shows up. And we have other scripts to like delete things if we accidentally publish something that shouldn't be published.
Okay, I stood now. So it's basically the specify the source for the files we want to copy across to this Eclipse download.
Right. And each one is going to be signed before
Oh, okay.
during the publish process.
I
Now, this
see.
is a different key. This is a different key than the ones used to push these things up to Maven Central. This is a key that exists. There's basically a Jenkins workspace, right? This one, specification committee, right? This one right there. So this Jenkins kind of like work area has a key associated with it. And, you know, only once votes are final do we use that key to sign any binaries. So any other binaries we've rolled and abandoned, they would be signed with a different set of keys.
Oh, I'm sorry. I think we're using too much time with this because these are mostly technical details. I believe we have to be more pragmatic about our approach and go back to the checklist and see what's okay and what's not. And then if we require to change the way that release is done, then we'll just code whatever it is required, and then we can think offline to see how the Jakarta is doing it and copy stuff from here. But I'll add that again, I think we need to be pragmatic, and we are already pushing the release so far that I mean I'm not saying that we shouldn't do this or get rid of that
Yep.
that folder, but I think, I mean, is that really a big deal to have this folder for this release until we work in parallel to actually streamline the release process and have it better on the next release? And just risk pushing the release forward just because it's not the way we want right now?
Well,
I mean, so from my perspective, I'd like to really see us get 4.0 out if possible now. I mean, given where we are this year. And so I'm willing to kind of make some compromises. Also, we've got 23 minutes left, so that's the time check. So
Yeah, well, that's what Roberto was getting at.
Yep.
So one question as a compromise, and David, I fully agree and understand, you know, we don't want to be pushing this stuff out to a public area. What about if we followed the convention that we have for Jakarta EE and we just create a staging directory so that the stuff from our build get put into staging, and then that actual promotion thing, that's something that we could do after the fact. So, you know, we're trying to get stuff in place to drive MicroProfile 4.0. And right now, just because of the build process that we have, we could be publishing to the staging directory, and, you know, maybe it doesn't get promoted depending on how quickly we can come up with these other scripts.
Even for pushing to the staging area, that's also requires some work. So at the moment,
Yeah, but I mean, you would just add a you know, to the path that you're already pushing to.
We can definitely make a quick fix on the script to basically have another path saying staging, and that's it. And my proposal is we can go by the rest of the checklist to see if everything's okay. We do the change to add a staging prefix to that directory, and we do a final release with config as is if nothing else is bothering anyone else. And while everyone else is trying to approve that release, we work in parallel to fix the release as we wanted for the next specs. Because if we wait until everything is perfect, then we're not going to have a release by the end of the year.
Well, I don't know about that, but I think that we're going to get everything done before the end of the year.
So I was just counting. I was just counting. We've got 5 more meetings like this before Christmas.
Well, remember,
so that means
this is the community call. We have
I know.
Let
steering
people
committee
finish
calls.
their sentences before you interrupt.
So we've got 5 more of these types of meetings. Yes, one of them is going to have to be a steering committee meeting where we vote, right? And so that's at least what do we have? 2 weeks minimum of 7 days, but up to 2 weeks for everyone to vote a +1.
We can vote
Right.
via mail and we don't have to meet. We can totally use the time for actual work.
Right.
Can I add something else for this? Even for other spec, this a MicroProfile config is raised ahead. So all the other spec need to have do some work and to get to the MicroProfile config state. So that also needs some time. And also when we release, again, we need to release MicroProfile config well in advance because of the dependencies. So other spec can do their RC and then pull in the config and then make sure they can get their the RC to be in the staging area and etc. So I'm thinking, I think is what David asked is fair. How about like in the MicroProfile 4.0, we all already, I mean, trying to kind of trying to do the release. I think it's getting the release out is our priority, right? So if like not reach to the desired situation, and then we still working in parallel as Roberta said. So it's can we like I think the next thing I want to say is like a TCK requirement to see like we can release MicroProfile config say this week, and then other spec, and then at the same time we can look at the build script and etc. Other spec can catch up with MicroProfile config and to do release and etc.
Okay, there are two things that I heard that apparently we want. One is not have that directory seen as like a final thing. If we put a prefix on the folder saying staging, is that okay for everyone? And
Yeah,
we
that's
can
fine.
remove that. Okay. The second one was about signing the TCK jar. Is that something that we require for this now, or can we just do it for the next release?
I don't think we need to do that.
Okay,
Immediately.
so
It's a nice thing.
if okay, so basically that clears all the staging stuff and all the binary stuff,
John,
and we're good to go, right?
John, can we
Yes,
put
Kevin.
that issue back up?
Okay, let's try to go and check the
Oh.
remaining items on the checklist.
Kevin, for some reason we cannot hear you well. Something is quiet on your side.
No one ever
Yeah.
says I'm quiet.
Yeah, Kevin was asking for another
Yeah,
screen share with the issue.
Oh, I'm sorry. I already had it sharing. For some reason, I thought I was sharing my screen. I'm like, what do you mean? It's up.
David took over.
Yeah, I know. I got it here.
There we go.
There we go.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, so all of the binaries are there. We're gonna do the change on the directory, and that will clear things up. Then you have the release review section. So release records. I believe all the projects already created the release record for an Eclipse.
Yep.
That's the one for config. Of course, we didn't email the PMC or the MO because this was a dry run, but on the final one, we're just gonna do it. And then there is that summary of a compatible implementation TCK run and the report that I use as a sample small config. So if you can open up those links, what I did was I actually updated, I have a branch that's pointing to the staging repository to use those binaries. So that's the build, proving that the TCK passes. And on the other link, there is the TCK report. That's basically the I wonder why that doesn't work.
So
Oh, that's probably not updated because because that was for the RC9, not the RC10. I updated for the RC9.
yeah.
I'll give you a link in a sec. Give me But it's just a published version of the testng HTML report, the one that you get with Maven.
So basically this is a TCK run. The other thing is this is kind of this is a version of TCK run from the small right. The other thing is, for example, there's some other implementations. Their test result may not be publicly, browsable. So in that, I think we could also accept a different format, like people provide the proof of TCK run, and similar as Jakarta EE, that kind of format as well. So this is the kind of as long as kind of we can prove all the TCK passed by a compatible implementation, I think we are good to go.
John, I pasted the link on the chat, so that's the right link on the Zoom chat.
But Emily, there's a
Okay.
distinction between the compatible implementation that's being used to validate a specification and someone who's just claiming compatibility. There's a higher benchmark for the CI, the compatible implementation for the spec, versus someone who just wants to be demonstrating compatibility. So that's the issue with public accessibility.
Right. For the specification, like a compatible implementation, so we only need to prove like all the TCK passed and etc. Right? Is not a platform spec compatible implementation.
I think you need to be signed in, John.
That's exactly what I'm doing. That's why I stopped sharing my screen.
I think the previous link should work as well.
Anyway, so just to be absolutely minimal on what the license requires, that the TCK I don't know what word it uses, results or summary, I forget, but basically requires that the results be public. So that's part of the license, and we don't have the option to change that. What we do have the option is to decide exactly what information about the results must be public.
Right.
So on the Jakarta side of the fence, we came up with a list. And it's pretty extensive. We don't necessarily need to have the same list, but we need our definition of what public results are.
Yeah, so this is kind of thing, information and details I think we need to nail down.
Yeah.
So, all right, so I apologize. Roberto, GitHub is stuck in La La Land trying to verify my login. So do you want to just share the screen yourself?
Oh yeah, you have to give me permissions. Okay, you got it.
Yeah, that I'm getting the same results that Scott Stark is that it just ended up giving me a zip file.
Yeah, that's a zip file. Can you see my screen?
Yes, I cannot believe it. You only have 9 emails unread. What the hell?
Wow, that's what happened. Okay, so that's a zip file, because I mean that was like the easiest way that I could to publish the results. But once you unzip them, it's just basically a zip file of the Surefire folder in the Maven build. So there should be index here. So if you open that up, then you'll see the TCK suite of all the tests that were run, and what's passed and what's not, right? So I think you cannot be more official than this.
Yeah, that's perfect. I mean, you should mention the TCK version.
I mean, what I actually did was, if you look over here, because it is actually associated with a commit hash, you can see that this is the version that's being used. So, but I can put it over here as well. That's fine.
so for this one, so the TCK result and etc. So this is a part of the GitHub actions. So this is the kind of the will stay there. Will stay there for some time, right?
Yes, I mean, this is stored here on the GitHub options. I'm not sure for how long. They have, let me see. Well, they only have an excellent, have like a last, but they keep it for a long time. So if you like 15 days, but if required, we can just publish that to the GitHub pages of the project, and that's it. And it will stay there forever. It's not really an issue.
Yeah, maybe it's a kind of when we vote or something, maybe make that yeah, to be a permanent persisted. Okay, so it's so I think it's good. It's a so from David's message to the chat. So I think that sounds fair. So make a TCK test result showing full and complete satisfaction. So as long as the result is public, is kind of in public, in a like implementation's website, that's enough, right? Looks like.
Okay, so looking into all the checklists that we went through, and doing the change to the directory name, does anyone feel, or does everyone feel that we're ready to try to do a final release with config, or do we still have to change anything in the process?
No, silence is consent.
Yeah, I think this is very good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think
really good.
Now-
we're good to go. Go ahead, Kevin.
Oh, I was just gonna, so then, you know, if we agree on this content here for the description that is shown right now, then one of us has to turn that back into a template. Is that, I know Emily and I both started one, but we were both off base, and that's why we went this route. So one of us has to take that.
Yeah, I can convert this one to be a template, to be GitHub template.
Okay, thanks. And I'll close mine out then. My other
I mean,
one.
the only thing I add is ideally when you sent the email to the PMC and the EMO is that you add a reference to the PMC email thread, because that's how you're going to have to track if it's approved. And likewise, when you email the EMO, they should respond with a bug in Bugzilla that they're using to track the request. That's how they do it in the Jakarta site as well. Because ultimately, you're going to have to follow those to be able to click these boxes off that you have approval from both those.
And Scott, we should bring a little bit more transparency on this by stating that that is how we would like to run it. Some projects do not even use bugs.
Well, it's not up to us. That's how they manage it. So it's the PMC
okay.
and the EMO. That's how they manage this.
Hey,
Yeah, so
Emily.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Who was that?
Yeah, Emily, just a quick, I cannot edit the issue, so maybe just go over here and add what Scott mentioned as a sub bullet on the PMC and DMO.
Yeah, okay.
And technically, we only need one link. So if people want to supply multiple links for their results, that's totally fine, I think. But we just, at minimum one.
Yeah, I think that, well, the minimum would be the EMO one because they track the PMC. It's the EMO issue that pulls together both the PMC and the spec committee vote.
I wasn't referring to votes. I was referring to the public TCK results.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
But to get back to your comment or your answer, Scott, you still have to email the EMO in order to make the review public. So that is a separate step that you have.
Right. What I'm talking, yeah. So both those steps are required, but what I'm saying is you could technically just track the EMO bug issue to know whether or not you have approval to actually release the release artifacts.
Okay. Yep. That's fair. And I think that's part of the.
I want to interject here and say something. Since last week when we met for the MP4 first call, to this week and the work done, I believe that we have the MicroProfile 4.0 release as a marketing, but I think we need to do a dash and say infra also release, because it is both. It has become clear that it's a totally different format that we have done for the last 4.5 years. And this is an infra release as well. So I recommend we change it. We add the infra to the release because it matters. And I want to hear comments on this. How do you feel about it?
Well,
Can I go back? Can I clarify something really quick? So it's am I right here? Like go back, rewind back a few minutes ago. So Scott, you said is just read the Bugzilla issue, right?
No, we don't. When you email the EMO, they will create the bug issue for us.
So
And
are they going to tell us what's the issue number?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what they reply to that email that you
Okay.
send to them.
Okay,
Yeah.
so in this case, I just say track the Bugzilla.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
and I
And-
apologize. I've been really wanting to get this question in here for a while. So, and so I apologize also, Amelia, because I think I'm going to override your as meeting moderator. I guess I'm trying to understand here what the flow is going to be for config. So if you do a final release, are we then going to begin a ballot on that release once you do the final build?
Aren't we supposed to start the work in the other APIs and instead of that? Or
Well,
we can do both parallel?
Well, parallel is part of the question, right? Because my follow-up question is going to be, how long is it going to take the remaining specs, the other 7 specifications, to basically fulfill this checklist? Is this something, in other words, can we get a release, platform release out by the end of this calendar year? That's the big thing I'm trying to figure out with all these questions.
I can help all the other specs to be ready with all our experience to make sure that they tick all these.
Yeah, so I think I think this week, so once we release the config, so also is kind of, I know Roberto, you already started working with the JWT. I will try to do the fault tolerance. So with like a couple of the like PRs and etc., all the other spec should just copy and paste. So it won't be a big deal. So I think if we can release config this week, so other spec might be able to release next week or at most a week after. And then
We have to because a config has a dependency for, or is a dependency for most of the specs anyway.
Yeah,
But
that's
we
what
don't, config doesn't need to complete voting for the other votes to start their votes. It just needs to be staged.
yes.
So people can use those binaries to get their own votes ready to go. And
Right.
we can vote in parallel. We had this important discussion on that. So
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and speaking of which, that is a checklist item that is missing. There should be the voting email thread,
Oh, yeah.
the specification committee email thread.
Working group email.
See, if it's a
Alien
vote,
Committee.
if it's a vote, it needs to go to the working group. But if it's just work, it can be in the forum. So we are very
Okay.
specific on this. You can do both. You can send the same thread to do like I do.
Yep.
Add the MicroProfile forum as well.
you're always welcome to CC the working group. You're required to CC the working group before having any official vote.
Yeah, one of
Right.
those doesn't work for me. And I think it's because I have different email.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Yep, I have the same problem, Scott.
Yeah, I think a lot of us would love to see the ability to have multiple emails associated with our one singular Eclipse account, but
Yeah.
that doesn't.
Ron, are you hearing this? You're here. Look at our pain, and we already committed. We have bugs running on that, threads running
Since
on
we're
that.
almost out of time, I just want to raise quickly. We have the compatible implementation request blended in with the release vote, meaning typically you have to file a request with the spec team, with the spec project to say, here are my results. Do you think these are satisfactory? Can I be considered a passing implementation per your eyes, right? We don't have, and then that would be an issue that the implementation team would file with the spec project. The issue would be what is listed here in the vote, and that thing should be approved by the spec team, right? And the reason that's important is because then other people who want to become compatible implementations, they also know how to get approved because they're seeing an approval in the first vote. Does that make sense to people? Because right now we just have the actual results of an implementation here. What we don't really want the results of the implementation here. We really just want the certification request listed.
Yep. So I just posted a link into the chat. This is something that Emily had started to do, but then we got busy with the, trying to get this issue template. But this kind of shows what you're asking for, David, and it kind of follows what we did for Jakarta EE.
Yeah, so that's a checklist, Kevin, you're
Right.
referring to. Yeah, so John, can you share the checklist? That's kind of based on what the Scott created.
Isn't that what this?
Oh,
In the
no,
Is that, the
link.
PR? Gotcha.
It's in a comment on the same PR or on the same issue. Go below.
No, there's
That one, compatible
Right
certification request.
Yep. Yeah, right there. So I think that's kind of what you were asking for, right, David? So that here's
Exactly.
something that we could create. It gets reviewed and approved, and all the details are elsewhere. But this is kind of the
Is that's the wrong checklist?
that one is,
Yeah,
but that is what
that's the right one.
It's 101, 102 minutes.
That's the right checklist. Yeah, that's what you've been using as a certification request. It's just basically like, what's the name of the implementation? What version is the one you consider to be, final? We require a SHA on the Jakarta side of the fence. We can still do that because there will be a SHA calculated in the staging process of Nexus, right? We're going to still get SHAs. And then, we don't need to use this exact set of items, but we can tailor it to what we think is applicable for us. It's basically, what do we want to tell the world about the compatible implementation, right?
All right. So to Amelia's prior point, we are past the top of the hour.
Let's
Back to
discuss
when we
next week. It's
started.
not important. It can wait until
So,
next week.
yeah, so let's do our best to continue throughout this week. Roberto, if you can kind of maybe via the forums, keep us up to date on progress as various, specs analyze the checklist and kind of are ready to do a run. That would be awesome. And then
Set a new thread for each API and move on.
yeah, that's probably not a bad idea. So I appreciate everyone staying a few minutes late. So we typically start a few minutes late because it takes people time to join. So thanks everyone for joining, and I will see everyone in 1 week, same bat time, same bat channel.
Thank you.
All right. Awesome. All
Bye,
right.
everyone.
Thanks everyone.
Have a good week,
Bye.
everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
Something here in the chat, please.
Oh, here.